That's the lady. The lady girl. There's freaking bugs all over the windshield. It does. Hi. You're very cute. Surprise! I got a pony. My trimmer and I had the idea to get this pony. She's a 4-year-old Shetland pony, and the reason why we decided to get her is that she's been for sale quite a lot over the last year because people have been having problems gentling her. She's kind of just lived in this halter for the last while, and she's very, very flighty and jumpy around people, and just very difficult to get stuff done with. Like, people have had to rope her to get some basic handling done with her just because she's so flighty and afraid. Not sure what happened to her in some of the previous homes, but at some point the thought is that she was abused. The home we got her from didn't mishandle her at all. They just weren't equipped to deal with her problems, so wanted to rehome her to people who were wanting and able to deal with her behavior, because she's definitely not kid safe right now and won't be anytime soon just because she's so jumpy. She's really curious and super food motivated, and just all in all, I think she's going to be quite sweet. This was kind of an impulsive decision because my farrier used to trim for one of her previous owners and knew her a little bit, so we decided to get her when we saw her for sale again, because we wanted to make sure she didn't end up in a bad place, and we wanted to give her the best chance she could to just get gentled nice and slowly. So anyways, we do have a breakaway halter that we're going to leave on her just in case there's like some type of vet procedure or something that she needs and that we need to catch her quickly, but otherwise we're training her with positive reinforcement. Right now we have her separated from the other horses, both because she would be difficult to catch and also because the grass would just be too much for her, and she's not at the place where we could put a grazing muzzle on her or catch her to move her off of the grass for short periods of time. So she has a shared fence line with other horses, but she can't go out with everyone right now just because of all the grass and the fact that she would be too hard to catch. We switched her nylon halter to a breakaway halter for safety reasons. She didn't love that, but she's actually really, really good. The thing that I really like about this pony is that even when she's terrified and she's in freeze response, she really just tries to stay out of people's way, and she tries to take the path of least resistance. So unlike some horses where when they feel really trapped and they can't get away that they would strike out or bite or do stuff like that, she doesn't do any of that. So I think she's going to be super, super gentle and kind once she starts to settle in and gets easier to handle. But anyways, we have her in this pen because it just wouldn't make sense to work with her at liberty because of the amount of grass, and as you can see, she's a little bit chonky, so we're gonna just get her going with some like low sugar feeds and just slowly get her gentled. You can see here too that she's a lot more afraid of men, especially really tall men, but she's so curious and food motivated that she just does always want to check things out, and she will approach and she will accept food from people. So I think that she's going to come along quite nicely. It's just going to take a lot of repetition to kind of undo her initial startle reflex, especially when people are standing and moving around. She's really small. She's only 10 hands, so even short people just tower over her, and she's quite nervous of it. I've started introducing her to clicker training by rewarding her for approaching people, and I'm really trying to get her used to us opening and closing the gate, because when we do that, she gets quite nervous and will run. But otherwise, she's been really curious and good. A lot of the time we've been working with her, we've been crouching or sitting on the ground just because that makes her quite a bit more comfortable. And then what I also wanted to do is, the owner that had her before like sent her with a long lead rope on her because she said that she was like uncatchable otherwise. So just in case, I wanted to keep a grab strap on her for purposes if we needed to catch her for a vet, etc. But I didn't want to keep one on this long, so I did a little swapperoo with the ropes, and you can kind of see like how if you move quickly or shift your weight quickly, how afraid she gets. So there we had a big spook. That's not ideal. Ideally I would want to do that slower than what I did, but we just needed to get it swapped because it's a really long rope and she was dragging it all around, and it was just a lot less enjoyable for her. So I just wanted to get it switched to a shorter grab strap for safety purposes and also just for her general well-being. You can see she'll still accept food, but when she's really scared, she does accept it quite a bit slower. So a lot of this starting process is just going to be about getting her comfortable having people coming in and out of her pen, having them standing up and sitting down and just having us move around and touching her, etc. She already leads like half decently, but she's very scared, so we're not really going to focus on groundwork. Like you can see here when I reach towards her, she's quite tense and afraid, but then she starts to realize that she doesn't actually mind the touch that much and that it feels good. She's still quite fluffy from her winter coat, so the one thing about this is that it can be used to our advantage because she's probably super itchy, and I found some spots that she really liked, which was a good start. It took me a little bit to find them and see if she actually really liked them, and initially she was kind of resisting, she was nervous, and then I started to see like her little lip going, and she was also stopping the freezing process more and was continuing to chew as I touched her, which is a really good sign. So that was all very good. She has her treat preferences and stuff that she likes way more, so for some of the treats she doesn't like taking them as much because I fed her some really good ones initially, like some super high value ones, and then if I feed those first, she's kind of like, I don't really like these other ones. But she's a big fan of hay pellets. You can see there though that when I touch her chest, she's quite a bit nervous. She likes being scratched on the point of her shoulder a lot more. You can see that she's really quite enjoying this now. This is the first time that I found a really good spot, but she's still jumpy. Like if I move too much or if I scratch a little too hard, even though she's enjoying the scratches, she's still quite hyper vigilant. So it's just something to keep an eye on when I'm working with her and just to kind of really take it slow. So this is another day. We've had her about 3 or 4 days at this point and have just been doing some really nice short sessions with her, just getting her used to people. What I liked about this session a lot is how quickly she approached me. You can see she's still nervous, like she looks away when she approaches me, and she's doing a lot of like de-escalation signals to try to like help herself calm down. Like she looks away a lot. You can see that she's using the calming signal, looking away a lot. She also ground sniffs a lot, and her eyes are quite wide and bugged out a lot of the time. So she's still very nervous, but she's so curious and sweet. And so this can really be a huge advantage for us humans in gentling her, because the level of curiosity and just general kindness that this pony possesses, I think, is really great. And she really wants to be good and she really wants to interact with people, but she's just terrified. So it'll just be a lot of repetition and showing her that we're not going to rope her or trap her or corner her or chase her around, and that really all that's going to happen is we're going to reward her for her approach and for her interest in us, rather than it being a situation where she has to feel like she's going to get chased down. She's quite a bit nervous when I touch her right side, and she's less comfortable with that than her left side. I've scratched her on her left side a couple of times, so this is probably why, but I would also imagine that people handle her more from the left side. But you can still see that I found a good spot and that she's enjoying it, but she's more nervous. Like she's definitely more stiff in her posture and holding more tension. But overall, I'm really pleased with the fact that I can find spots that she likes being touched, and I also really enjoyed her reaction to me standing up this time. The last few times before this, if I stood up, she would go flying to the back of the shelter and would kind of hide in the corner. So really nice big difference there. And then here it's just really about finding out where her favorite spots are. She really likes the point of her shoulder and like being scratched like right under her scapula between the muscle and like the blade of her like her shoulder blade. So I've kind of discovered that, and that's the spot that I'm going to focus on for the time being, because I want to just continue helping her build her trust and just realize that like people can be a fun and enjoying process. Eventually I'm going to bring brushes out and start brushing her, but right now I think me having something in my hand would scare her too much, so we're just going to take it really slow. After this session we're going to unclip the rope, because I can get close enough now that I'm not really worried about it, and I think that I could clip a rope on, and I just don't love her stepping all over it. We did it because her previous home really stressed the fact that she was impossible to catch, and that it took them like 6 hours to get a rope clipped on her and all that jazz, and made it seem like we'd have a really hard time. So we just wanted to be careful, but as it stands, I'm not really concerned about that. So I'm going to just take it off after this session, and then we can practice clipping and unclipping the rope too, so that she's getting like a taste of what it's like to be like quote unquote caught. But anyways, overall I'm really happy with the process of it, and she's super sweet, and I'm excited to see how she develops.